championship. Let's take it.
Yes, great. Yes, great.
Hello and welcome to the Thresher Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside head football coach of the Threshers, A.B. Stokes. Bethel College football improves to 2-0 on the 2023 season with a 45-22 victory at St. Mary in Leavenworth. It didn't look great at the end, Coach, but hey, you get a nice victory. You were mostly up by quite a bit for the majority of the game, the last two touchdowns coming against the twos on defense. But nonetheless, a good performance on offense and definitely a learning experience from your first road game. Before we get to that, we're broadcasting live. Well, not really live. We're recorded here. But in the locker room, the Thresher Stadium locker room here, as you see behind us and how nice it is. If you haven't been in here before, this is just a sneak peek. So
best in the conference, for sure.
So it is freshly minted. And some people say it's not the buildings, it's the people that make a program. Well, it's both here. How about that?
Well, this is pretty nice, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, definitely thankful and grateful to everyone that helped make this possible here at the Thresher Locker Room Center. So let's talk some football, Coach. I mentioned 45-22 victory over St. Mary. DJ Sears, 3 rushing touchdowns in the game. Really, it just kept the momentum going. Two passing touchdowns. Found Jacob Reyes and Trayvon Madison, one in each half. Mm-hmm. So pretty well done. Got a field goal from Carson Sauceda that started things off for him, and he's still kind of figuring some things out in that place kicking type of game based on my conversations with him. So he's constantly learning, but it was a good victory for you guys. A little bit of a slow start there at the beginning, but overall, what would your assessment be of the game?
Again, man, I mean, I'm always happy when you're able to win a game, and it's still really early. Like, I'm a statistics guy. That's probably my only strong suit. You know what I mean? But I'm a statistics guy. I like to look at numbers when I'm thinking about having a gauge of how we're doing. And I mean, statistically, we're off to a better start than we had last year. Now, granted, we are playing different teams than we played last year around this time, but offensively and defensively, we're off to a better start, and so that's really what I look at. Like, how are we starting? Because the plan is still to be playing our best football, in mid to late October and November. You know what I mean? So right now, it's all about trying to find ways to win, trying to find people who may stick out as people who can be rotators and things like that. So I'm pleased. I'm always pleased to get a win, but as far as the performance, I'm not looking to be pleased right now in the performance. Right now it's all about what can we get better at, and the coaches that we have, man, they do a fantastic job of that. They're always like that. But as far as me looking in on it, I'm just like, hey, what are we getting better at? Like, what do we need to get better at? And trusting that our coaches are doing everything they can to get these guys ready to go and come divisional play.
And no doubt you see the enthusiasm amongst the coaches. I mean, it's shared with the players. They pour into each other. It's a two-way street. So many times you see the relationships with your coaching staff and the players that come into this program. And we name players as far as what goes down on the stat sheet and things like that. But there's so many guys that deserve that honor. It's just part of the formality of the game. There's so many guys that contribute to so many phases of it. It's just not just one guy. It could be guys like Damon Lavelle going down on kickoff, making some great tackles for you inside the 20. So many different things to it. So that's what's been really impressive to see for your team, and not skipping a beat as far as whoever steps in. Whether it's the last guy off off the sideline that comes into the game, everybody is invested into it, and I know that's how much you've poured into the program as well.
Yeah, man, and that's how much we've poured into it. You included in that everybody who's a part of Bethel institution, and the people supporting. They pour into this thing, and it just makes us want to do a great job, and represent the college in the best way we can. And that's really all we're trying to do day in and day out.
Certainly. Let's get down to some of the numbers and type of things. DJ Sears mentioned he rushed for 3 touchdowns in the game. He has 7 rushing touchdowns on the season, and he has more touchdowns by a single player than anybody at the NAIA level right now. And so that's something definitely that, is interesting to follow along. And, he's thinking about constant growth as well, like Coach mentioned. He also threw his first interception of the season against St. Mary's. So there's always something to get better and better at, but no doubt that's a great statistic, and averaging almost 200 yards rushing a game at the quarterback position. And I'll just mention one play in particular. It was, you guys had the ball, I think, on your own 44, and he goes back to pass, and it's just flushed out, and then he just takes off 66 yards.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you really see how hard it is to do that there when he's going through, and he's like, it takes so much energy out of you. He thought he might have done something hamstring wise, I could tell, but it just takes so much out of you to make a play like that. It is, I think people underestimate that.
Oh yeah, I've said it time and time again, DJ Sears is a special player, and special players are going to make special plays, and not only that, but they make, a special play look like a routine play.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so he's been doing it his whole career. You know what I mean? He's been doing it as long as he's been a Thresher. And that predates my time in the system that he's in here. He's just a playmaker, and I can't speak highly enough about him, but it's the people around him too, and just the way he approaches the game that makes it easy to root for him. You know what I mean? It makes it easy for him. He is he's confident but a humble young man, and he's always putting up his team. He's always putting up the O-line, and putting up his team, and always want to celebrate other people. Like when we do our put-ups, he's always one. He got some weird ones. He says some weird put-ups, but he knows it. But but he's always one of the first guys to volunteer, and that's kind of the trend of our leaders. Like every time we're doing put-ups right now, our leaders, guys like Grant Gotze and Cade Miller and Junkermeyer and all guys like that. They're always, Brendan Sanders always being the first guys to raise their hand and put guys up. It's just a special thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, you see that the examples, the leading by example that we always talk about. And it definitely is evident there when you see that. And the parents can see that when they're on the field after the game as well, seeing how much togetherness the team has. And that's an important factor in any successful team. It doesn't matter if it's football or whatever, what have you. So
absolutely.
But other kind of things of note from the game. On offense, we'll stick with that. Jacob Reyes playing in his first game as a Thresher, catches a 25-yard touchdown pass. And then Trayvon Madison with his second touchdown catch of the year. That's something that I think is underestimated of your offense, is the ability to throw the football, because of you guys are in the top 2 in rushing as an offense in the NAIA level, and everybody it's kind of, whether it was this offense or the one before, everybody is thinking run, and then you throw the football.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're more of a RPO type team, so there are a lot of run pass options that are in the equation, and it just happens to work out where we get the run off, or you have a quarterback like DJ who a play calls designed to be a pass, but it's not there, and he's not going to try to force it and have a negative, so he's gonna take off and run. So that's what happens with some of it ending up being the rushing. But again, we're trying to work to be balanced. You know, we being a number one rushing team in the country for us isn't, or not even, a top 2 rushing team in the country is not necessarily the goal. Mm-hmm. If we can be in close to the top 10 in both categories, that's more so where we'd like to be. But right now, we'll take what we're getting and the success that's kind of coming with it.
Yeah, some teams are, one statistic heavier than the other, and that's really evident of how they play. But you guys are strictly situational based on my assessment. You're just following along. You're doing what you need to do to win the game, bottom line. So. Yeah. So that kind of wraps up the offensive side of the football. Defensively, Brennan Sanders got an interception late, but heck, the streak continues. At least one interception per game, since the beginning of last season, which is so impressive.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, from your defense.
That's good.
Yeah, Robin Neely had a few good tackles coming down from the secondary. He and Roderick Edwards worked really well together, breaking up some passes against St. Mary that I was impressed with. There's not just one guy. Mitch Monteith with a sack there in the second quarter. Everybody, Tate Seabolt played pretty well as finishing up tackles, things like that. Like I said before, you can't pinpoint it on one guy or another. It's just so many guys that are stepping forward. But at the same time, you did get a little exposed a little bit from the passing game, on certain plays. Got exposed deep, on a couple occasions in the passing game. So, that's certainly something that's not exactly expected for anybody that follows Thresher football, but just because of how well the secondary has been here for quite a few years now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right. I think they got us on a couple of things. One was on B, Brennan. The ball kind of just got lost in the air on him, and the kid just he had a kind of a funky release off the line that stunned B a little bit. He was expecting something else, and it was a 4th down play. Didn't necessarily think that maybe he would try to throw it up. Ball gets lost in the air, but that's something, that one right there, we'd almost chalk it up as like an error in baseball. It's something that we know is not something that's going to be habitual. That's not a habit. Like if teams are going to try to throw on Brennan Sanders, let's go. Like we're gonna welcome that and say I'll take that. Keep taking shots at him because I think we'll win that battle more times than not. I wholeheartedly believe that. And then the other one was a freshman kind of getting his eyes in the backfield, broken coverage, a long pass. And the thing I love about our defensive coaches, Coach Schultz and Coach Markham, man, they're so good with the guys and making them feel confident even when they make a mistake. Like, I mean, guys come over to the sideline and Schultz or Markham is just a question. Like, they're not berating them, they're not in their face screaming, none of that. It's a simple question like, hey, what were you supposed to be doing there? What did you do wrong? Like, and the kids, man, the young men, they know it. They're like, oh yeah, I got my eyes in the backfield, coach, or oh yeah, we should have been in this coverage and I was in that coverage, or I got it. And it's this thing that, I mean, it takes away the fear factor. Like, our guys aren't afraid to make a mistake. Our guys aren't afraid to play as hard as they can if we make a mistake, because they know, like, nobody's gonna hold it against you. You're not getting jumped or berated for making a mistake within our program, in our system. Now, yeah, we're gonna coach hard, and we got a rule. It's one of our mental toughness tips: don't strike out. You know what I mean? We don't want to make mistakes, same mistake, over and over and over again. But our guys know, man, that one mistake, it ain't gonna kill us. It ain't gonna kill us, and they're gonna they'll rise up and keep playing hard and fearless and free. And that's kind of the mentality of the defense. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think their motto is like passport to crazy town or something like that. Man, it's crazy, and they love to get crazy out there, man, and have fun, and I enjoy it, man. I enjoy watching the defense every week. So
Yeah, I'm talking about the secondary a little bit. They also face some adversity. Some of the penalties, the pass interference, calls, it's kind of 50-50 to some degree because it's so difficult to play that well. And one of them, I was like, it hit our player in the back. How is he going to go through the guy to catch the ball and things like that? You don't have to address those things, Coach. I'm just saying that's that kind of adds on to the whole experience, and definitely taking some encouragement and some learning from the coaching staff. So.
Yeah, I want to address it. I'll tell you this, man. In the midst of the game, I thought that we it seemed like we had a bunch of penalties, and then I go back and I look at the officials' report. We only had 6. Yeah, we had 6 penalties, and then it's one of those things. A couple of them were timely. One time I thought we were penalized. It was actually the other team, and I'm upset at that point. But at our guys, like, come on, we can't. I'm like, we can't keep playing like this. Like, and they're like, personal foul. Oh, it was on St. Mary, and I'm like,
oh wow.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. You get so emotionally into the game, just like me. I mean, it's just like, especially when you're working with guys that you have relationships with. It brings out enthusiasm and then some.
For sure.
But kind of switching, could tie a bow on the Threshers' victory, 45-22 over St. Mary's. Special teams mission, Carson Saucedo with the field goal, and that was well. And then Jackson Walker again doing some great jobs punting. I think he's tied for 3rd in the country in punts inside the 20.
Yeah.
So I think he has at least 5 between the first 2 games. So I always look at the stat categories, and I was just curious what it would be. But there's a long list of 1st and 3rd. So, but still, it's definitely something else, and he's been a great addition to the program.
Yeah, I think he's going to separate himself. I think because he's pretty consistent, man, and I mean, we watch him in pre-practice every day, just in awe. But I do want to point out we had a freshman long snapper, Cameron Barone. Cameron Barone was our long snapper this week, and we were kind of trying to find somebody to solidify themselves as the starter in that position, and he actually won the job.
Wow.
In warm-ups on Saturday. So
I've been there before.
It's like, hey, he was doing a great job of snapping. He took a couple of snaps. Draven Johnson, who's our punters coach and snappers coach for that, and we're looking at him, and Coach Schultz, who does special teams as well. They're like, "You're going. Are you ready?" He's like, "I'm from Texas, Coach. I could play this game." Like, so he did a great job. Want to shout out Cameron Barone, since we didn't do it after the game. I don't know why, guys. They forgot, but great snaps. Every day. I mean, all Saturday. Great snap.
From a player's perspective, that's kind of crazy. You just like, you just light up at that when you're saying, "Oh, I'm going." Yeah. Oh, okay. And it's a great testament for him to not feel the pressure of that situation and just go. Yeah. So.
He's a dog.
Yes. Great effort from the Threshers all through and through in all 3 phases of the game. 45-22, the final score from Leavenworth. Other scores in the conference this past week: McPherson beating Sterling 34-31. That one went down to the wire. Sterling was up, back and forth in that one as well. In an interesting ball game in Sterling. And then Kansas Wesleyan and Bethany played at 10 a.m. to try to beat the Heat last Saturday, and the Coyotes won 31-3. And that one, I believe they started a different quarterback than they did the first game, based on what I saw. Southwestern was up 49-27, and a couple late touchdowns for the Eagles make it a 49-41 victory for the Mound Builders in a hot game in Kansas City amongst 2 ranked teams. So that was definitely something everybody was watching. Braden Howell, former Bishop Carroll, if you're familiar in Kansas with that school, quarterback there, he went off. He was the offensive player of the week in the conference, and did a very good job for the Mound Builders. He played against the Threshers a couple years ago, kind of thrown into the double overtime situation, and he threw the pick that won it for Bethel at the time. So a lot of growth there from him. Other games in Hillsboro, kind of a tight game and maybe surprising to some. 14-7, Evangel goes on the road in the first conference game in the KCAC and wins 14-7 against the Blue Jays. Both teams well coached, so I say they're a little bit of surprise. I guess I shouldn't be.
Coach Gardner. Coach Gardner. Gardner's ours. He's ours.
Yes.
Not going nowhere. Coach Gardner does. He's always. You never know because he's always gonna have his guys ready to go.
Yeah, and Coach Epple is definitely pretty good at Evangel as well. Then the last game in the conference slate, Friends went up to Ottawa and was up 27-7 just before halftime, I believe, and won it 49-20. The Falcons get the victory in that one, and all but one team from the Kessinger division won last week, and that lone team was Kansas Wesleyan, who leads the Bethel division as we speak right now, going into week number 2. I have to think about it. Week 2, game 3, in this scenario.
We just call it week 3 for us. We'll catch up after the bye week.
That's right. That's right. All right, we're going to take a time out here on the Thresher Football Show here from the Thresher Football Locker Room. Love it. A great job by everybody that is a part of this project. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Bethel College Thresher football team as they prepare to come back home and take on the Ottawa University Braves for a 6 o'clock kick from Thresher Stadium. You can watch it on the KCAC network. We'll talk more about that in just a moment here on the Thresher Football Show.
Thresher fans, get ready for the upcoming school year by becoming a member of the Bethel Booster Club. Your membership impacts all athletic programs by paying for experiences last year, such as the Threshbees Award Show, postseason experiences and postseason tickets, the Hall of Fame banquet, enhanced live streaming equipment, new banners in Thresher Gym, equipment for the Gearing Hall weight room, windscreens at Ward Tennis Center, and Thresher Stadium. Be a part of Thresher Athletics history and a booster club that is living out the Bethel College Athletics mission by creating life-changing experiences for our student athletes through 4 levels of membership plus parent and young alumni specials. Athletics is an integral part of the Bethel College experience, and thanks to your support, we look forward to growing our success for the future. Visit BethelThreshers.com/booster club to become a member today.
Welcome back to the Thresher Football Show. Dan Page alongside head football coach of the Threshers, A.B. Stokes. The Bethel College Thresher football team 2-0 as they get set to play the Ottawa University Braves. A 6 o'clock kick from Thresher Stadium. You can watch it on the KCAC network. I'll have the call for that one. And Ottawa coming to town, and Bethel and Ottawa going at it. It's been a while since the Braves got a victory in this series. 2018 was the last time. Your first year as an assistant at the time, and since then, Bethel has been able to take care of business. The 2019 game was crazy with the blocked extra point that won it in overtime. That was crazy. And then, a couple other victories from then last year. Not a pretty victory at home against Ottawa for your squad. There's a couple mistakes early that kept the Braves in the game, like a fumble recovery for touchdown of 90-plus yards, things like that. But that's a bridge. That's water under the bridge. But definitely the Threshers and the Braves going to be an exciting game. Nick Davis, his squad is at 0-2. To start the year, battled with Southwestern in the first week, and then fell to Friends at home in their first home game last week. Now they go back on the road to take on the Threshers. Other games in the conference docket as far as 6 o'clock games: McPherson at home against St. Mary, Evangel at home against Sterling. It'll be interesting to see what Sterling does there after a great effort against McPherson this past week. Friends at home against Avila. That'll be another game to watch as well. The Falcons and the Eagles at 6 o'clock from Wichita. And then a couple, your game at 6 o'clock, and then one at 7 o'clock, and one I think at 7:30 is what they eventually moved to. The 7 o'clock game, Bethany and Tabor, and that is in Lindsborg. So that'll be at about 7 o'clock from Anderson Athletic Complex. And then at 7:30, a big one in Winfield, Southwestern home against Kansas Wesleyan. So the Mound Builders go Avila, then K-Dub, just like you guys will have to do here in a couple weeks. It'll be here before you know it. So definitely exciting week for the KCAC in store. We'll talk about some of those matchups after we talk about the Ottawa University Braves. Mentioned the Braves 0-2, they lost by 2 at Southwestern. Didn't really know much about them at that point, but they had a great effort, and then they returned home, and Friends was very physical against them. Friends had their way, honestly, in that game, and they used all their athleticism and strength and came out on top. So that was something I'm sure your coaching staff has taken a lot of look at as well. How the Braves have handled defensively against the run game. So, and of course, Coach Davis, has his branded spread defense. It's very similar to the one you guys do with 3 safeties and 2 corners to some degree. So interesting to follow along with that. But the Braves coming in, you look at personnel for them, I guess you can start on defense. They have the nation's leading tackler at this point. Yes, it's really early, and Reynolds, he has 25 tackles. In fact, the conference has 4 of the nation's top tacklers in the top 8. So it is definitely a legitimate. Number 2 is Diego Moran from Sterling College, and he had at least 10 against you guys in the first game.
Yeah.
So, no doubt, there are a lot of good players in the conference, and the Braves have, another one as well. Colby Johnson, who was a top linebacker for them for a few years back, was one of the best tacklers in the conference. So, they definitely have some guys. I think majority of the returners, as far as starting goes, is on the defensive side of the football, but they do have some guys on the offensive side at quarterback, Billy Maples and Austin Zavala, and then 3 new running backs and a couple wide receiver and tight end targets that they're familiar with, and I think they return about half of their line as well. So where do you want to start, Coach? I mean, we could go anywhere, but I guess we could start with their offense. I know you mentioned to me that they have some good running backs.
Yeah, that's something Coach Schultz, Coach Markham, we were talking about a little bit earlier today. They have pretty much a 3-headed monster attack at running back. All guys who are good at different things, and I think that's going to be that's the first order of business, man. Is try to stop those guys from getting going. From going. You know what I mean? We don't want them to get going and get a lot of confidence early. And feel like they can just run on us, so that's definitely where it's going to start. And I think their quarterback, man, he's pretty solid. I don't know which one's gonna get the start on us. You said Billy Maples. Is that number 7? And
then Zavala is number 1.
Number 1. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So for us, man, it's really about slowing down the rushing attack first, and then we'll go from there. So
the trio of running backs, Derek Curtis, number 0, he's rushed for 118 yards and 1 touchdown. They have 4 touchdowns in the ground game, 1 for each one of the guys that have ran the ball for them this year. So, and that's an item of note. Through the air, Billy Maples, 313 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, 2 at 24 of 56 passing, and then Zavala just 1 pass so far in the year. I mentioned this is not to pick on anybody, but in last year's game against you guys, you had 3 interceptions. Your defense, your secondary was all over. Brendan Sanders had an interception return for touchdown in that football game at the same time. So they do have some guys in the receiving core as well. Jaden Johnson amongst their top receivers with 7 catches for 129 yards on the year, and then Gunnar Madere and Ontario White, Derek Curtis out of the backfield, and then a number of guys. They're guys that have touchdowns for them, have just 1 catch on the season through the first 2 games. DeAnthony Curtis and Eric McQueen. So they have guys in skill positions. It seems on offense.
Oh yeah. No, they're definitely not a reflection of their record. They played two really tough teams. 2 teams that I think both are going to be competing for a playoff spot this year. So, they're definitely and Nick Davis does a great job getting these guys ready as well. So we definitely can't overlook them. You know what I mean? At all. So.
Certainly. Turning over to the defensive side of the football, I mentioned Kyle Reynolds, James Gladden, another one for them with 18 tackles on the defensive line, 2.5 tackles for loss on the year. Reynolds also has an interception, the lone interception for the Braves defense. A.J. Hemphill, 17 tackles on the year, and Tony Davis with 12. And, they have some guys that are definitely more familiar with the way that they do things, and they're a year more further experience. So, they're getting better at the same time as everybody else is.
Yeah, for sure. And when it comes to defense, though, it's always about defense, has to pay more attention to what an offense does, what the offense tries to dictate. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to defense, we know the guys who are leading the charge, making a lot of plays, and the goal is to as much as we can find ways to get them out of position. You know what I mean? So I feel very, very confident in what Coach Den and Coach Grider and those guys have this week. I think we're going to take a step forward offensively. I really do, and I think it should be really, really fun.
Yeah, and a lot of people won't listen to you hear that and say, how is that possible, from what we've seen so far. But, looking at their defense, they've given up 271 yards per game, rushing per game, and 127 through the air, giving up 36 points per contest, and an average of 400 yards of total offense through the first two contests. Yes, it's a small sample size, but definitely, I know from a coaching standpoint, you don't necessarily look at those kind of things unless you're really thinking about your strengths and their strengths and weaknesses and things like that. But overall, Coach, I know you always say this with the faceless opponents, but yeah, I mean, you guys are focused inward, and that's not going to change.
No, it can't. It can't, man. The minute you change that, you might as well go do something else.
That's right. So it's the Braves and the Threshers from Thresher Stadium this coming week and on Saturday, and it's going to be a good one at 6 o'clock. You can watch it on the KCAC network. I tell you what, it's going to be a full Saturday for Thresher Fall Sports. The volleyball's at home at 9 a.m. They're taking on College of the Ozarks, and then I think approximately 1 o'clock, maybe even before then, they're going to play at Randall University. The Bobcats and the Saints going to play the Thresher volleyball team. And we were just talking about before we taped our program here how well they're doing. Yeah. Their stat categories is
crazy.
You're just crazy. Top teams. And you talk about blocking in football. How about blocking in volleyball? They're the top blocking team in the nation. And Darla Crow, their freshman, has it by about 40 blocks. Yeah. She is awesome. Has had an incredible start for Thresher volleyball and Coach Adriano Leak. Definitely. Shout out Coach Leak. Yeah. And that's the thing with the athletic program. I don't want to say format, but it's been put into everybody to support each other.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Yes.
You saw it with scrimmages to before school year, like classes even began, things like that. But buying into each other and just creating an overall successful environment, because so many times in athletic department models, you look at, okay, so the football team's good, that trickles down to everybody else.
Right.
It's not exactly that specifically, but it's about the way you do things.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like it's just the people here, they buy into it, and it's just, man, it makes it fun to go to work. It makes it fun to play games. I was outside with our men's soccer coach, Luca, this morning, just watching these guys practice and chopping it up with them. And so,
sure.
I just love what Bethel has going, especially in that area.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at it the last 5 or 6 years, there's been a lot of, there's been probably about 70% turnover with coaches and things like that, but that's the quality that has always been here. Yeah. And I'm going to say it's a big thank you to our athletic administration, whether it was Tony or Colin or Stacy or anybody like that. They did absolute, they have a servant leadership mindset. So that's been, everybody sees that, and they step forward. They volunteer for things that you wouldn't expect them to. Like if folks at home, you look at an athletic department sometimes and you see maybe something bigger than what it really is, and you don't know that it takes another coach volunteering their time to be a site manager at a soccer game or volleyball, whatever you have it, and it's that servant leadership that isn't just reflected within their own teams, it's everybody.
Yes, sir. I couldn't have said it better.
And I just say it from that way because I've had a chance to observe it from my perspective over the last 5 or 6 years, and I think the glue that puts everything together is everybody wants to be a part of that. That's a contagious kind of quality that people look inward and say, okay, well, I don't have that,
right,
and I want that.
Yes.
And then we're going to play sports too.
Right. Now, what are we talking about again?
We always have that philosophical moment. So
I love it. I love it. Don't stop that. Don't stop that.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been great to see, and we're gonna support everybody. I mean, whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, volleyball, soccer, flag football, indoor and outdoor track, cross country.
Flag football.
Yeah, there you go. That's gonna be great, and I mean, I don't think it matters who it is. I think it's just the practices that everybody knows and executes that's successful, and it doesn't matter, who the new guy on the block is. Everybody wants to be a part of the whole.
Absolutely.
So again, the Threshers and the Ottawa University Braves, 6 o'clock kick from Thresher Stadium this week. Watch it on the KCAC network. I'm actually doing volleyball that day as well. The 2 volleyball matches against College of the Ozarks and Randall University. I'm excited for it. They deserve the coverage, frankly. I mean, everybody does, but I'm telling you, there's some excitement there that, I don't want to say it's been dormant, but last year with the 20-win season, went 21-9 and 9-3 in the conference. The volleyball team did. I mean, how can you not be drawn to that?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just their work ethic has been fantastic, and they deserve it. So look forward to that this coming Saturday on the KCAC network, a full day. I honestly don't care if I lose my voice because it's not about me.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's philosophy is when you individually in the Bethel College Athletic Department.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, again, let's run down that conference slate one more time for the football programs this week. A lot of 6 o'clock kicks. Bethel and Ottawa. McPherson at home against St. Mary. Evangel at home against Sterling. Friends at home against Abla. Then at 7 o'clock, Bethany at home against Tabor. And at 7:30, Southwestern and Winfield at home against Kansas Wesleyan. Same setting as it was last year. It was just the last regular season game between those two programs.
Sure was, yeah.
And I know we were watching it. Just all about the postseason situation at that time because it was your bye week. It was your bye week. So I mean,
we got to move on. I can't bring up them feelings.
That's right. Now the next, right, Coach?
Now the next.
Well, I mean, it should be interesting. There's still a lot of good teams in the conference. Still a young season. I mean, if you're following along nationally, the official NAIA rankings don't come out with another poll until September 11th, which has been about 2 or 3 weeks since the preseason one. So you definitely have to be interested to see what happens this coming weekend because there's a lot of good football games there. I mean, Sterling at Evangel could be a really good one.
That's the one I'm kind of, I don't know.
Friends in Avila in Wichita.
I think Friends is going to take care of business. I mean, is this a prediction show? That's just what I think.
I mean, you're allowed to say something, right?
Yeah. I just think, they've got the flex going. They've got it going, and once it gets going, it's hard to stop. And not too many people, they don't know how to stop it. So
yeah, I thought it was interesting. I just caught them on social media one time. They were doing one of those videos like you guys do, where they see the question and they answer it, and just mash it together. And what is the hardest position to play in their program? And coach said quarterback, because we jump over people and we turn the wrong way in a place. And I just had to laugh at that for a moment because I mean it was kind of cool to see. Despite all the seriousness, I mean that's still that lighthearted open-mindedness is definitely important to success at the same time. And then I can't say enough about the Kansas Wesleyan at Southwestern game. So it should be a great one as well.
Yeah, with that one, I don't think the reason why I'm saying Sterling Evangel is because a Sterling win could really shake things up.
Oh yeah.
But Kansas Wesleyan Southwestern, whoever wins is just it's gonna move the pendulum like an inch in either direction. I mean, if Sterling beats Evangel, it's like wham. You know what I mean? Like what?
Well, that's why I painted it with a precursor in relation to the national polls. But I mean, we all know it this early. Who knows what they mean?
Yeah, for sure,
necessarily. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, because after the Evangel Tabor game last week, it's like, it's like the Southwestern Ottawa game from the first week. It's just like anything is going to happen, and you don't just show up and win games.
No, you don't. No, it takes a lot of work.
So we'll get you back to work, Coach, before this week's football game against Ottawa. But thanks, everybody, for watching this week. Stay tuned. Again, a 6 o'clock kick between Bethel and Ottawa on the KCAC network this Saturday. We're excited for it and hope you are too. For Coach A.B. Stokes, I'm Dan Page. Roll on.